I was speaking with a fellow last week, a few weekdays ago, and he's saying, well, there are extraterrestrials out there and so on and so forth. We discovered life on Mars, and of course he's looking up on the internet stuff. And actually, I said, show me on the internet, and he says, well, they're attempting to see if there's DNA inside rocks on Mars. Well, that doesn't mean you've discovered anything. Oh, yes, we've discovered there's DNA, blah, 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 blah. The complexity of DNA is so unbelievably complex, and it's so reliable in terms of providing inherited qualities from the mother and the father, especially humans, and such a magnificently complex, inexplicable way that that if we discover that happened, there's no way it could happen accidentally, randomly. And so you might discover something that might be of a chemical similarity to the quality, right? The DNA might be around water all the time, or it might be around certain other substances, but that doesn't mean that's DNA. And the next step, tomorrow, you'll have DNA, and then you'll have some kind of a mammal born inside a Martian rock. The leap of faith. Shouldn't you just take the leap of faith and realize that there is something unbelievably complex out there that created the unbelievably complex, most complex being in the universe, man's body. There we go. So, the question is, extraterrestrials, or is man alone before God except for angels? And there is an unbelievably complex being called the angelic beings as well, that are created beings. Genesis 1 to 2:4. In the beginning God created the heavens and the earth was formless and void. The darkness was over the surface of the deep, and the Spirit of God was moving over the surface of the waters. So the context of this passage in Genesis 1:1 to 2:4 begins with God creating the heavens and the earth, the entire universe, and then it focuses completely on Earth. There are no other planets which are focused upon or even mentioned such that one might draw any possible conclusions that they might also have life on them. Now, we're saying according to the Bible, but, until something better comes along, I'll stick with the Bible and see if what it says has some validity. And so far, I haven't found one error. And some people, well, I don't believe the whole Bible yet, I say, because I don't believe stuff I haven't studied yet. A lot of Christians say, I believe the whole Word of God, blah, blah, blah. Well, what have you studied? Hardly anything. So how do you know it's anything to believe? See? So, anyway, Genesis 1:31a. Then God said, let us make man in our image, in our likeness. Then we have man being uniquely made in the image of God with no other life forms mentioned, after God had created all the planets and other heavenly bodies, equipping each one of us as he saw fit. Now, some guy mentioned a dolphin. Well, did God say in the image of God, let us make dolphins and man in our image? No. So it's a unique book, no errors, no contradictions, supernatural things, supported the supernatural consistency of it. I'll stick with that until something better comes along. And if it says, let us make man in our image, sounds like only man has been made in the image of God, which is something to be considered. Awesome. So then we have man being uniquely made in the image of God with no other life forms mentioned, after God had created all the planets and all the heavenly bodies, equipping each man as he saw fit. Since the Bible indicates that man, of all the life forms created, was uniquely made in the image of God, then it is not likely that God created many other life forms with his image from all over the universe. In the absence of information to the contrary, stick with what is offered to you. So many people have taken the Bible and run away with it, and then piece it together, cherry-picking verses, to make up stuff that's not even there. Because the absence of addressing a particular point of view means that so far it's not provable and not there till you find it there. The entire scenario thereafter focuses upon God's creating man in his image uniquely, and then giving man dominion over the earth. And at the end of God declared that it was very good, and then God rested from his creation work. Now, no other creatures were evidently created, especially any in his image, and no other planets to dwell upon either. All he mentioned was heavens and the earth. Now we have the heavens, innumerable planets, our wonderful solar system. But the special creativity of life seems to be limited to Earth. Besides that, I'm thinking, if Christ died for the sins of the whole world, the Earth, what did he do about all the other planets that supposedly have? Billions of planets. He went and he died on the cross, every one of those, wouldn't he? Genesis 2:4. This is the account of the heavens and the earth when they were created. That heavens and the earth and the other planets that have life. Notice that Genesis 1:1 to 2:3 are declared in Genesis 2:4 as the account of the heavens and the earth when and how they were created. There is no mention of other planets or other life forms except those created on the earth, with man uniquely made in God's image, and then God rested from his creation work. And Genesis 2:4 then indicates that Genesis chapter 1 is the account of God's work of creation. Since God rested from his creation work with no stipulation of any other life forms except those upon the earth, we must presume that that is all there is. Then, at the end of the ages, there will be a new heavens and a new earth. Interesting. With no mention of other planets either, and beings which might have life forms on them. Revelation 21:1. Then I saw a new heaven and a new earth. For the first heaven and the first earth had passed away, and there was no longer any sea. Compare 2 Peter 3:10-13. But the day of the Lord will come like a thief. The heavens will disappear with a roar, the elements will be destroyed by fire, and the earth and everything in it will be laid bare. Since everything will be destroyed in this way, what kind of people ought you to be? You ought to live holy and godly lives. As you look forward to the day of God, and speed is coming, the day of God, that day will bring about the destruction of the heavens by fire, and the elements will melt in the heat. But in keeping with his promise, we are looking forward to a new heaven and a new earth, the home of righteousness. Notice that the heavens and the earth are destroyed and a new heavens and an earth created. That includes all of the universe. There is no mention of extraterrestrial life here. I mean, what did they deserve to have the whole universe destroyed if only the humans on the earth were sinful? In the Revised and Expanded Answers book, Don Batten says, he's the editor, for decades, speculation about extraterrestrial life has been boosted by tales of flying saucers and encounters with aliens. Some have even claimed, that the sons of God and or the Nephilim of Genesis 6:4 were aliens, but they were clearly demonic angels. And you can read this article. In any case, in 1996, this was fueled from another source. NASA researchers claim to have found evidence for simple life forms in meteorites, allegedly from Mars, found in Antarctica. Since then, this proof of life in the Mars rock has very much lost favor among the scientific community. Somebody made some great statement. They investigated. The scientific investigation was not scientific at all, and it's a fairy tale. The supposed nanofossils tiny little creatures, were probably no more than magnetite whiskers plus artifacts of the experimental process. We have a little article here. We might read it. Yeah, let's read it. Institute for Creation Research, Frank Sherwin. False or unsubstantiated rumors once established achieve a life of their own. One example is that life has been found on Mars. Those who support the idea of Martian life do so mainly because of the Mars meteorite mania of August 1996. It was then that the world was stunned to hear that primitive life may have existed on the red planet. A meteorite, is the number, thought to have originated on Mars and plucked from an Antarctic ice field in 1984, allegedly had possible signs of fossil bacteria. But the claim was bogus, recognized by many as a NASA ploy to drum up more interest in space research, which would shore up their sagging budget. It's all about money. A wealth of scientific articles have appeared since then refuting every claim made by NASA from all different areas of the scientific community. Unfortunately, the news hasn't been passed on to the many who believe the original claim, or they have just not willing to accept it. But even if there were signs of life, does this prove life on Mars? Consider the following recent quotes. Bacteria can infiltrate Antarctic rocks and become fossilized there. Even if researchers find an indisputable genuine fossil bacterium, it may be hard to prove that it lived on Mars rather than on Earth. Furthermore, if scientists were to find clear, unmistakable fossilized bacteria in a meteorite or soil from Mars in the future, it doesn't necessarily mean that such bacteria evolved from non-life over millions of years. Applying uniformitarian assumptions, secular scientists conclude, just as the Mars meteorite is thought to have been tainted by earthly bacteria, samples from Mars, too, may not be what they seem. We think there's about 7 million tons of soil, Earth soil, sitting on Mars, says Kenneth Nielsen, a microbiologist with NASA. You have to consider the possibility that if we find life on Mars, it could have come from Earth. Christians should keep three things in mind regarding this issue. Life has never been found on the planet Mars. Doubts continue to grow regarding fossilized bacteria in the meteorite from Mars. If someday life were to be found on Mars, there would be a good reason to believe it may have come from Earth, possibly having been blasted there by asteroid impact during the flood of Noah's day. Given the amazing complexity of life, wherever life is found, it had to have been created by an intelligent designer anyway. So we have dust flying all over the place from the Earth. And who knows, over history, during the worldwide flood, and just over in the stratosphere, dust collects, and of course, if the universe is billions of years old, and you got an innumerable amount of material from the Earth flying all over the place, some of it's bound to land on Mars and the other planets. In any case, we're moving on from that article. I like the demonic angels, too. Demons cohabitate with humans to produce a super hybrid race. Answers for a friend at the YMCA. Most of the ideas about demons, which are unbiblical, come from the books of Enoch, which are part of the Bible. They are not trustworthy. They contradict the Bible in many places on key doctrines. Angels have a range of capacities. Some are very powerful, some are not. Spirits don't literally walk through dry places. They don't have legs. The language was figurative. The verb dierchetai was translated walk in the King James Version. It means he goes through. The Archangel Michael